All right. Good morning, folks. Give me a second here to get set up, make sure everything is running copacetically. Facebook, what's happening? Facebook, what's happening?
Good morning, folks. Give me a second
here.
here to get set up, make sure everything.
All right, we're good.
Copacetically. Facebook, what's happening? Facebook, what's happening? Good morning, folks. Give me a second here to get set up. Boom. Got it.
All right. LinkedIn, let me check LinkedIn real quick. You see the thumbnail, you see what we're talking about today. We keeping it all the way. Everything we need to get into, we about to get into. We are going there. Yes, we are going there. You better believe it. This story came up and I have to address it. I do, but I'll get into it in a second. Let me just make sure all the platforms are good. YouTube be good. It's another Tuesday, so top 5 Tuesday. Do it every Tuesday here in the Move Swiftly World, by the way. YouTube, we're good. All right, let's get into this. We are going to be diving into this story that hit my feed this past week. And first of all, let me just introduce myself to anybody that's new to my world. My name is Aswan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I do is I take the lessons that you learn on the football field, the teamwork lessons that you learn on the football field, and we apply them to businesses so they have their staffs, their organizations, and their employees moving as if it's a cohesive championship, very much like a championship high school or youth football team. All right. So before we get into today's topic, and we're going to dive into this story that hit my feed, I believe it was like Saturday. It hit my feed about, I believe the name is let me make sure I got the name right. It's the Michael Jenkins, the Jenkins family, and the Miss Michelle Bishop. You know, the reason that it resonates so much with me is because I myself have a fitness background. I've worked in the fitness business. There's tons of mothers who I mean, you know, and again, I may be a little bit biased when I talk about her today because that was my livelihood for a while. You know, I have such a respect for mothers who make it a point to stay fit, to build a business around fitness, particularly mothers who are able to do that and they don't use kids as an excuse not to work out. So whenever I see that and I see someone like her that's struggling because of some race hustling bullshit, to be honest with you, 100% honest with you, I have to come out in her defense because you can sense it in every sense, in every element of what she's talking about. You're speaking to someone that is actually racially profiled in every single situation I've been in, been racially profiled by black men, black women. I mean, regardless of your race or your ethnicity or your gender, I've been racially profiled by that person. So we're going to get into this. I know I got started a little early, but let me just get through some announcements and we're going to get into the top 5 reasons why, because the fact that this story is even nationally known at this point is exactly why race hustling is such a big business and why we see the division that we see in our country. It is not a matter of, because Trump's in office, now we're just a divisive world. No, we're divisive because of the nonsense that we believe in, the nonsense that we put out there in the social media world. But again, I'm rambling a little too early today, but the story just, it drives me crazy when I think about it. But anyway, first things first, West Palm Beach. And again, there's another reason why I resonate so much with this lady who is in the fitness, because again, I still am very much am involved in the fitness world. And I believe in, you know, being that person that if you're going to be a kind of a group leader in fitness and be that person that's leading people through workouts, I understand what it takes, the mindset it takes, all that kind of stuff. So I resonate with what this lady's going through. And you know, as I'm making my announcement, here. I want to just make sure if you're in the West Palm Beach area and you're interested in free boxing lessons, I still do those every 2 weeks. So just contact me and hit the QR code that you see right there for more information. Next thing, business owners, if you have not yet, make sure you go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com, the freeguide.makeyourmove.com, get you a free guide, and Patreon. Make sure you tap into the Patreon link, patreon.com/as144. All right, let's dive into this, and let me just give some initial thoughts. I'm going to give you guys some context about what has been going on, all right, and where I came up with today's top 5. And you guys see the top 5 reasons that I'm going to be discussing today. But the way the story goes, and I'm going to play both sides of the story. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I want to just kind of give you guys some context in terms of what I'm going to be playing for you in a second. But apparently, and where I am recording this right now, it is January 28th, folks. And apparently there was a situation in Ohio, typical Ohio State nonsense going on here. Again, speaking to a Michigan fan, by the way. But typical, what happened was there was a lady who's a white lady who was running. Or she was doing, again, me, myself, I'm a runner. I talk to a lot of runners. I'm a part of many different run groups. I speak to women who run very frequently. I've done 10Ks in which they were built on the fact that, women who were running, as one 10K I did where the race started because it's called Run for Wendy. And the race started because this lady, Wendy, was out jogging by herself in the middle of the night or something like that. And she unfortunately was killed. She unfortunately is no longer with us because of something happened to her jogging at night. Again, I didn't know this. I wouldn't know this if I didn't have personal conversations with several ladies who are runners who tell me all the time. It's still something that bothers me to this day is running late at night. Again, me as a man, I don't necessarily think about those things. I didn't think about it until I had that conversation. So when this story popped up, I resonated with that feeling because I could only imagine what a mother is going through when she's running. She has her kids with her. She's in mom mode. She's not necessarily in, okay, I could just, if anything's going on, I'm going to just outrun it, hide. She's obviously thinking about her kids. All right. She's thinking about her kids because she's not just by herself. So she's running and there's a car that understandably, and again, I'm not here to trash the Michael Jenkins at all. I understand 1000% how he feels. He's driving slowly because this is around Christmas time. And he sees lights and he's, recognizing the lights. It's his neighborhood. He's just, again, recognizing the lights and he's slowly driving up to his house. All right. This lady who is spooked, she's scared. She goes into, she thinks the guy is, going to be doing some harm to her. At this point, she doesn't know what color he is. At this point, she doesn't know what the ethnicity is. She just knows that she's with her kids. There's a car creeping up on me. And I'm going to just pretend that this is my house. I'm going to walk in the driveway and I'm going to bang them. I'm going to do something. And then, unfortunately, the unfortunate situation, the guy pulls in, and this is just the way the story's been told through both of their lens, they both told their stories. But what happened was the guy pulls in and it happens to be his house that she went into, and she happened to be in his house. And you got to understand, in her mindset, she's so afraid, she's so scared that she yells back at the guy, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. It's not your house. It's not your house. Again, totally understand the idea that comes with the racial profiling. At this point, I get it. As a black man, I understand. You're in a nice neighborhood, you're in a nice house, somebody telling you it's not your house. I totally understand. If you were to cry racism at this point, I totally get it at this point. And then to make it worse, she runs, she takes her kids, she leaves the stroller, runs, and starts screaming, help, 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 help. Again, you guys can go watch the video yourself. I watched the entire video and I saw how bad that part of it looked. That part of it, you're right. 1000%. I'm with you. It looked horrible because she's screaming help. And the dude is doing nothing to her. And this is stuff, again, that you see on TV. And it's something that the race hustlers get to use, which is what they actually did. The race hustlers get to use to put on the internet and make it seem like, okay, this woman is just completely out of her mind, because that's the way it looked in that situation, right? But here's what happened. The Ring camera caught her coming back. So she came back to the house with her husband, and you can hear how apologetic she was. She screamed, "I'm sorry, I was with my kids, I was scared," and she was just trying to give the guy a different perspective. And then you get the couple, the black couple, who comes out and says, "Oh, well, he told you it was his house. He told you it was his house." Very argumentative, very unwilling to at least dissect the situation. Now, again, I get it. You're upset in that moment. Here is where the whole thing, in my opinion, is just it turns so bad and turns more so into where I feel like the guy, or I think the guy, is now so being an opportunist, because this is something that happened early November. And if you're that distraught about it, and I'll tell you a story right with me. Okay, I've been racially profiled. I've been by white people. Okay, I've been slammed against the wall. I've been dragged up steps, slammed against the wall, and absolutely gone through it. Like, it wasn't just a person's looking at Aswan and thinking these things. This was a person actually physically causing harm to Aswan, and I was actually in tears. This happened to me when I was in high school. I was actually in tears, and the situation got. I don't say I dealt with this because the situation I was still a kid, but long story short is there was a dialogue between myself, a high school kid, and the teachers that draped me up these steps. There was a dialogue between me and them within the 72 hours. The fact that it's now 2 months since the situation has happened, you guys live in the same neighborhood, I find it completely just unnecessary that I even know about the story, that this is even a national story. The fact that it's a national story should tell you everything you need to know. And as we get into today's reasons, all right, so as we get into today's reasons, I'm going to put the reasons up, but I want to make sure I play you guys this clip, because this is where it becomes very important. As to who you listen to, who you let your kids listen to, what platforms you decide to go on, how you're going to take in and get information. See, me personally, throughout this entire election cycle, and this is something that I've picked up on throughout the past couple months since I've just been seeing things, and I've been quote unquote red pilled, been waking up to a lot of these lies that a lot of these leftist, extreme lunatic leftists want me to believe, because I am a black man, and they try to use my skin color, my skin tone, and everything they try to use it to push their own narratives. I didn't discover a Brandon Tatum. I didn't know who a Brandon Tatum was until this election came out. However, because I'm a football guy, I knew who Shannon Sharpe was. I knew who Ocho Cinco was. So had it not been for Brandon Tatum allowing this lady to have their own platform, I would have only heard the side of a DeMichael Jenkins. I would have only heard the side of the one who's trying to push this narrative as if we as black men are all victims. However, I listened to both sides of the story. I listened to when Michelle Bishop got onto Brandon Tatum's podcast, and I heard the sincerity in her voice. I heard her husband on with her when he said, look, one of my best friends, we run a fitness business, and his best friend is a black guy, or is a black guy that, we don't engage in that. And then I heard what the way that the guy was talking on Shannon Sharpe's podcast with Ocho Cinco, and how everything is being pushed into this victim mode. And I was like, there's completely different stories. And my own reason, when you think about the whole situation, it's clear to me that if, again, as a person that's been racially profiled on a regular basis, I still get racially profiled to the point where it now feels normal to me. If you got a situation, if you're that dude that you are, like you say you are with DeMichael Jenkins, what's stopping you from just going up to the lady's door, knocking on it, and say, hey, I want to make sure we're good. I want to make sure that, we have a dialogue. Or if you're going to be on anybody's live show, have the live show with her. Have all of them on. She's clearly issuing public apologies. And I'm going to play the clip. I'm going to play the part with Shannon Sharpe. I'm going to play that until he says, because he's going to say it in the clip, where she never offered an apology. And then the one with Brandon Tatum, where it's clear to me that she has made the apology public, and she continues to apologize. In fact, I just followed her on her Instagram, and I'm going to be reaching out to her after this, and seeing if she'd be interested, or just wanted to have some dialogue, because I think it's really unfortunate what's happening to this lady, because you get a good person. You get a good person, someone that's good for society. She has a fitness business, regardless of the color. All right. You have someone that's actually putting some good out there, yet she's being trashed because of a simple, clear to see misunderstanding. So let me play it real quick, and then we'll get into the top 5 reasons why race hustling has become such a big business. I'll play the Shannon Sharp one for you first, and then I'll play the
we're going to welcome to Michael Jenkins. He's a seasoned real estate developer, investor, custom home designer, as well as chief operator officer and owner of 3D Vision. And unfortunately, Ocho, he was involved in a disgusting racial profiling act outside of his own.
Let me look.
And so welcome, Mikey. Congratulations to your Buckeyes.
Fuck the
well
Buckeyes.
Done. I know you saw. I'm surprised you ain't got on your Buckeye shirt.
Go blue.
But congratulations to your Buckeyes, to you. And I think that's your wife.
Yeah.
Congratulations, ma'am. Thank you for joining us, Mike. If you can go back, I know it was in November, and here we are in late January.
Exactly.
If you can recount the events as you remember, as vividly as you possibly can.
Oh, no.
Let me get to this out. Just a second.
You can.
Yeah, I can remember. It wasn't too long ago. I was leaving one of my real estate job sites in the inner city, wrapping it up for the day. It was about 5:15. Took me about 45 minutes to get home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proud to go home. Shannon, something I want you to know is when they say it's an affluent neighborhood, it's one of the most wealthiest neighborhoods in Ohio.
Wow, congrats.
And my house.
Flexing.
My house is the best house.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because I come on,
you see what I'm saying?
Like
showing off. Get to the story.
I'm an architectural designer. I bought the land. I financed the land. Designed it from scratch, and I built it from the ground up, using all my resources. So proud to come home. I'm pulling up, checking out my Christmas lights we just put up for the holiday season. And there happens to be a lady in the driveway with 2 kids. So I don't think nothing of it. Kids coming in and out my house all the time. I got kids, got a family over here. I don't think nothing of it. I think she's looking for the front door. I say, hey, are you looking for somebody? She doesn't answer. She then proceeds to go to the porch. So I'm like, okay, so she's probably coming over. So I pull in the driveway. I'm about to park, and she rings the doorbell and comes to the front of the front porch and stops me and says, do you live here? And I said, yeah, I live here. She said, well, I don't think so. So I said, well, what are you doing here? She says, I don't think you live here. Picks the kid up, drops the stroller, hops off the porch, starts running, and I hear screaming, yelling for help. At that point, now I'm in fear. I'm in fear because I know what we face as Black men in America. So I rush to the garage, park in the garage, come in the house. My wife's in the office. I said, babe, some white Caucasian lady, she just jumped off our front porch, screaming, yelling for help. I don't know if she's gonna call the police. I'm pacing back and forth. I don't know what's about to happen. 6 p.m., regular day. We pacing back and forth. I don't, at this point, I'm like, I don't know what's about to happen. She comes back before the police gets here. I don't want to go outside. I don't want to go outside with them outside. And the police pulls up, and if the police pull up, altercation happen, anything could happen. Right. I know they're going to side with them. So, but my wife come outside, and she just wants to figure out what's going on because she's in shock. And I'll let her say how she ended up coming outside or whatnot.
Okay, when he
came home and he said,
I was going to ask you. He comes into the house.
All right, I explain this. Let me skip through some of this.
Well, what happened? Nothing. I was just pulling in the house.
Right, let me see.
Okay.
So.
The house. And I'm like, what is she screaming for? He's like, I don't know.
Let me skim through this.
So she did end up calling the police.
Yeah, she did.
She did end up calling the police.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Now, this happened in November. The video just recently got released. What caused you guys to release? Because I'm glad this is on Ring camera. Because you're absolutely right. Had this not been captured on camera, on video, we already know the story that was going to be told and how it was going to be spun. But you guys had it on camera. What made you guys finally decide to release it?
Well, I actually released the video in our community Facebook group. Oh. We have a community Facebook group, about 500 or so people, and ever since I've been like, we've been shattered, we've been upset, it's so many different factors and so many different feelings. So many different feelings. I put the video in our community Facebook group to share what happened, and it took a lot for me to do that.
All right, I can't take it anymore. Let me jump in real quick because I can't. I can't with the victim stuff, and I don't have too much time. I gotta get to my reasons, but I played you that just to be fair. But I'm gonna be all the way 100% honest with you right now. If you, and I'm asking you directly, anybody that's tuning into me now catches this on replay, if you are in fear, genuinely in fear over this period of time, you release the video, you do everything, why haven't you gone directly to the person who did it, discuss the matter directly, face to face, and get to the bottom of it and address the situation directly with the individual? What the hell do you need to be on Shannon Sharp's and On Just Thinko's podcast discussing this for? That is what I'm struggling with. That is what I'm not understanding on this situation. Okay. Let me play you her side, because the reason I heard about it was because I had listened to her on Brandon Tatum's show first. And if you listen to this side of the story, a lot of these things will start to make sense. So
ever since I've been a cop and ever since I've been reporting on police stuff,
and like you said, I forgot to mention, Brandon Tatum is a former cop. He's a former cop, so he knows these situations. So let me let it back up a little bit.
Michelle and John Bishop, who's the young lady and her husband, and also another person who reached out to me that know him a little more intimately in the business realm. So I mentioned to you guys I would try to reach out to them. Right now, I have Michelle and John ready to give their side of the story. But I want to give a brief intro about them, just real quick. It's not that much. And then I'm going to give them an opportunity to tell the truth about what happened. We all know, ever since I've been a cop and ever since I've been reporting on police stuff, when you see a video online and it seems too juicy, there's always a backstory to it. And in 2025, and I cannot say this enough, in 2025, if somebody's crying racism, it's a big red flag. Because majority of people in America ain't thought about no race. It ain't like it's the first time a black person ever lived anywhere that's of affluence, that have had money before. I mean, what planet are you living on? There's tons of people of all races that are successful if they bust their tail and do what they're supposed to do. So let me just give you a quick intro. John and Michelle Bishop were the ones that I mentioned about in the video. Michelle was the one that went to the doorbell, rang it, if you guys are familiar with the video. Online fitness training is what they do, and they're entrepreneurs. They got an incredible company, and I can't wait for them to talk about it. That's a brick and mortar company. And then also Michelle runs a online fitness training program, which is the Ladies Edge. And so we're going to talk about that as well. They've been doing it. They've been in the industry experience for almost 15 years. Just simply put, they met in the fitness industry after John had left the military. He got out of the Army. So shout out to him. Thank you for his service. They got married in 2014. They've been married for about 10 years now. They have 2 kids who I think were featured in that video. So without further ado, please welcome to the show, John and Michelle Bishop. What's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Oh, we're doing, I keep staying positive. We're doing good. We're hanging in there.
Yeah, hanging in there, man.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah, it is my pleasure. And the reason I brought you guys on, I think you know, and everybody else that's watching this should know, that I just want you guys to get your story out there. Because when you watch a little clip that's been framed and put out, I don't know, months later or several weeks later, in an attempt to assassinate your character, I think it's invaluable for you guys to have an opportunity to say your part. So we'll start from the very beginning. And I want you to tell the audience what happened from the very beginning of when you started walking with your children to seeing that truck that led you to the front door of the Jenkins residence?
Yes. So first of all, Brandon, we have to say thank you. And just so your viewers know, you're the first person that stood up. So thank you so much.
I'm car accident injury attorney Jared Blake from Blakely Law Firm, and I'd like to speak to you today about an important issue.
But yeah, as you can,
these are my.
Let's let it go.
You were like the first glimmer of hope that we've had in 4 or 5 days. So thank you so much for stepping into this. You said this isn't what I do, but we are so appreciative. You're such a blessing to us. So the story, this whole thing. So November 19th, I was out with my children. It was just before 6 o'clock in Ohio, not like Arizona. You were like the first glimmer of hope that we've had in of our neighborhood. And we were jogging down the road and it had gotten dark. The sun had gone down. We were trying to run, look at the Christmas lights. And I noticed a truck coming from behind me. And that's all that it was. It was vehicle approaching from behind me. I'm a mom in the street jogging with my little girl and my baby jogger, my little 2-year-old. And I go to the grass, and I've always been told if ever this situation happened, which I never thought it would, to go to the closest house, to act like it's your home. And so that is what I was doing. I went into the grass, started walking up the sidewalk when Michael was continuing to slowly approach. And he started to say things out the window, asking if he could help me. And so I didn't respond. I wasn't talking to him. It was a man in a vehicle. I'm with my children. It's dark. And so I told my daughter, hey, turn here, act like, go up this driveway. Don't look behind you. Just walk, pretend this is your house. And so we're walking up the driveway. And at that point, we decided to go to the front porch to just knock on the door, see if somebody's there, ring the doorbell. And when I get on the doorbell get on the porch and I ring the doorbell, nobody's answering. And at that point, I am absolutely just in mom mode. I'm just doing what I think any mom would do to protect their children. I start to unbuckle my son and I ask the man in the truck, he's still in the truck. I say to him, is this your home? And he said, yes. And at this point, there was nothing that you could say to me to make me believe anything. I was in protective mode. I was in mom mode, challenging it. I said, I don't believe that. And so I grabbed my kids. I told my daughter to run and I ran for my life. Literally, you can hear it. Showing up at a woman's house where I was calling the police just to let them know of where I was. Just get somebody on the phone with me. And I get in the woman's house and I told the woman that I thought he was a young white man. My husband came and we went to get the stroller because I had left it in the front yard. And it was at that moment that the wife stepped out onto the porch. And it was that moment when I realized that it was a Black family. My husband even said to me, that's a Black family that lives there. He said, are you sure it wasn't? He said, are you sure it wasn't? How'd you say it? He said. So when we went to that neighbor's house where Michelle ran to, I'm watching her on my phone, by the way. Like I have her location. I'm like, it's getting dark. I'm going to watch her. Right. So when she stopped, I'm like, why did she stop right there? I'm already on alert. As I'm staring at it, she calls me and I'm like, I'm going to get over there. So I get over there and they're standing out there. She's like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I called the police off, whatever. And I said, where was it? And she's like, that house right there. It's like, well, I know that person. I mean, I've seen him in the neighborhood, seen him walking around, seen him at a buddy's birthday party. He's known here in the neighborhood, in the community. I was like, was it a Black guy? She's like, no, it was a white guy. And the lady that was also there, she was like, yeah, she said he was a white guy. Yes. So go ahead. So I told the woman, and then again, John asked me, are you sure it wasn't a Black dude? I know the man that lives there. And I said, no, I do believe it was a young white man. So I went back to the house. That was the first time they stepped out on the porch. And I realized it was in fact a Black family. And he came out and I heard his voice and it was him. And I made 2 apologies right then and there. I felt very stupid. You could see it in the video. I said, I'm so sorry. I said, in my mind, I was even thinking maybe this could be his house. But in that moment, I was in complete protector mode. There was just, like I said, nothing you could say at that point that was going to get me to trust that this really was this person's house. And I ran. So that night, we truly thought it was squashed. They did not accept the apology. My husband was like, get in the truck. This isn't. They didn't accept it. They didn't accept it on the spot when you guys were in that video. Because I heard you apologize, and everybody heard you apologize.
All right, so let me cut it off now because I've heard enough. And again, if you want to. I played that side, and I strongly recommend you hear this side and you go listen to that side of the story. I listened to both. You are listening and you are talking and you're hearing. listening to someone, again, myself, has been actually racially profiled by multiple people of multiple races and both genders. I understand both sides, especially being a guy that has a fitness background and has worked with tons of runs every morning in the dark, have spoken to tons of ladies who are running in the dark, and the way their mind is, I can only imagine the way it is with their kids. Okay. Here is the issue that I have with this story. Okay. It's the fact that I know about it. I should know about it. These are two people that clearly live in the same neighborhood that this guy, I forgot, I'm not even showing you guys. This guy can go to the house of this person and y'all could have squashed this and talked it out off camera. Or if you wanted to be on a live stream, y'all could have been on a live stream together, the two of you discussing the whole situation, which is what makes me really genuinely believe this is a guy who's trying to make a come up, because race hustling is such a big business. So let's get into the topic stuff. I did enough framing for the day and why this is an issue. All right. Reason number one, why we get so much racial tension. Like, if you listen to the story, if you listen to the details, if you listen to everything that was said on both sides, there was just confusion on what race they were. And that, in my opinion, is the problem right there. That's the foundation of it. That is where all of this stuff gets started, is right there. You see on the screen, slavery isn't properly taught in our school system. Say it again. Slavery is not properly taught. It is left for people to just figure it out on their own. And I'll tell you the way I learned about slavery. I'll tell you the way I learned about slavery in the home. And then I'll tell you how it came up in a 6th grade social studies class, and the difference in terms of how you broach sensitive subjects, or subjects that can leave a person very emotional. All right. I was around, had to be somewhere in elementary school. I had to be somewhere in elementary school where my sister, she kind of blindsided me with this conversation. She really did. I grew up with an older sister who's 5 years older than me. Again, my name Aswan, her name is Fashina. We both have very unique names, and we were going to be, wasn't easy for either of us. School wasn't easy for either of us. We never had a ton of, she had friends, but stuff like that. But being in school and having the names that we had, we actually had to be good at what we did. We have to actually be good at our jobs, because we weren't going to just be accepted because our names were so unique, right? So she approached me one day when we were at home, grew up in Maryland, and she just kind of gives me a framing of what slavery was about from her perspective. She was at this point a teenage girl, and she just came to me and told me about it. And it was something that it caught me off guard, but at the same time, this is my sister that's telling me about it. And I was bothered, I guess, by it, but this is something I'm learning in the home. Versus when the subject kind of briefly came up in a 6th grade social studies class, this was in a public school. Shout out to Francis Scott Keatis when I was attending a public school, and the majority of the class were Black students. And the teacher, I'll never forget, because the teacher never actually spoke about it in a conversational way. She basically played a video of it. And then, we were kind of left to interpret, what do white people just hate Black people? That was kind of the feeling after the video, because I'll never forget, there was an individual, a real dark-skinned Black guy that was kind of one of the popular kids at the middle school that I went to. And I remember him reacting to the video out loud as he goes, it just makes me so mad. Like, as soon as I see a white person out here, I'm gonna just punch him in his face. He goes, they're like, what time is it? Boom, I'm gonna just punch him in his face. It made the kid angry. There was never anything that was said from that social studies teacher to keep a young Black, again, very impressionable 6th grade young Black boy, from going down that rabbit hole of just hating everybody who's white, which is, again, that's not how you teach it, because of the reality. We just think in our own head, if we're not rid of it, if we don't remove that mindset, as you can see now, certain things start to get assumed, and we start profiling folks, and we don't necessarily teach it the right way. And that is problem number one. And it leads me to problem number two. When folks get emotional like that, they're easy to control. I've had tons of conversations. I've gone back and forth with people, and I've lost friends through this. I mean, there's people that I know directly that I no longer mess with, that I no longer talk to, that have gone into tears when you try to have this conversation with them, when you try to emotionally get them to do something when they're emotional. Okay, you can convince folks. I mean, the whole, you just go look up for yourself, go watch it for yourself. Look at how much money Black Lives Matter actually brought in, because they had it was the right situation, right? It's the right situation with the George Floyd. It's the right video, right thing. Okay, that name, Black Lives Matter. Okay, that's gonna hit. The donations tab is gonna just ring off it's just going to be banging and banging. People are going to be hitting that donations tab because they're emotional. They're emotional because this video is being played over and over and over again. And now social media is going crazy with it. We're going to get to, actually, that's number 3. Number 3 is actually because the internet is the Wild West. 2 and 3 are very similar. It's easy to convince people when they're emotional. And then the internet is the Wild Wild West. The reason that this story that we're talking about right now today, that I started the show off today with, the reason that it became a big thing was because, actually, I think it's right here. It's right here.
This was just
right here. Yeah, right here. I'm not gonna play it, but right here, this was the video that got released. She said it. That's where we cut her off, right? She said it. She released the ring cam video. She released it. She released the ring cam video, and that's what made it a huge story, to where if you had no context, if you just are someone that's on the internet, a creator, anybody out there that has access to the internet, which is everybody, and you see this video of a white woman running, screaming, help, 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 from a black guy's ring cam, you would assume things that just weren't true. The heartfelt apology that she's given, the context in which she was given, the idea of walking in the dark with 2 kids and seeing a truck slowly creep behind you, all of that stuff that she was mentally going through, you don't care about it because you only see the clips that got released. And with the internet, you're able to do that. With the internet, you're able to, cut stuff up and put a clip out there, and then you're able to feed off and create an emotional response. So again, 2 and 3, just so we're clear, I want to make sure I'm clear on saying this. 2, easy to convince folks when they're emotional. All right. If you watch the video under the wrong context, you're going to get emotional, particularly, especially if you're a black man. You're going to get emotional if you don't have the self-control to realize, okay, there got to be something more to this. There's something that had to spook her. This just doesn't add up. If you don't have that level of self-control, you're just going to get mad because you think that you're going to make these assumptions. And then the way the internet works and how algorithms works and what actually sells and how the people get paid and how ads how ad money is being distributed and what's going on with monetization, and how, again, the man said he's a real estate developer, he's in business. There's ways in which you can use clips, use the internet, use videos, chop this stuff up to make it so, okay, now I get to be in the victim Olympics. Now I get to be in a situation where people are feeling sorry for me. Now I get to be in a situation where I'm jumping on nightcap and not even talking. We're not even talking about sports. We're talking about me being a great real estate developer, and I'm getting stroked by Shannon and Ocho Cinco, and now look at me. That's what the internet can do. I'm not saying he did this on purpose, which I do believe he did, but it's not fair for me to actually say he did do it on purpose. But that's just the result, which is what makes me feel like, look, if you're really shook, again, someone that has been through been racially profiled, gets racially profiled pretty much every day, you go to the person. You go directly to Miss Michelle Bishop. You knock on her door, her and her husband. They're very accessible. They're online trainers. Everyone in the community knows. You go directly to them and you say, let's talk this out. Or you could do it live. And y'all could talk the whole situation out and then things get improved. And that's what's so contradicting about this whole situation is I remember a couple months ago, Shannon Sharp had gotten to a kind of a war of words with, what was his name? the comedian. Is it Mike Epps? Yeah, Mike Epps. There was a big beef, quote unquote, big viral beef that was going on between Mike Epps and Shannon Sharpe. And, you know, again, it got to be a little dangerous because I believe Mike Epps said something about he has, you know, guns involved and there could be some actual danger, like lives being told, like he doesn't fight, something along those lines, right? And what happened, I thought very highly of Shannon Sharpe when he did this, because what happened was he went to Mike Epps and they talked it out. They had a conversation. They came on social and they showed that they had squashed the beef because they talked it out as adults. So why don't these two, I don't get why these two can't do the same thing. I don't understand why 1 and 2, these two can't go and just talk the situation out, and why we even have to know about this. All right. Because the internet's the wild, wild west, and it has to become a national story now. And if you go and you look at the woman, I mean, again, I started following her probably earlier this, I think it was just that I started following her, and I, you know, because I knew I was going to be talking about this. You can feel the sincerity in her posts. I mean, she's in tears every single time she tries to tell the story, she gets in tears. And not only that, but if you're a racist, here's what I know about people who are racist: they hide. Folks who are racist, like real racist folks, they hide. They don't go on the internet. They're not on the internet as frequently as she is. They try to hide their mindset because, again, that's going to get them canceled. They're not as transparent as she is. So what we're doing is we're taking someone who has good intentions, whether you want to joke about it or not. Or, you know, I've heard some comedians kind of joke about, oh, you get a white woman crying and all of a sudden everything. No, listen, she's doing something productive in the world, and that there's a lot that needs to be said about that. So that's number 3. Number 4, I kind of already stepped on this point, but it's always going to be a scapegoat. Always going to be a scapegoat. Race hustling, your race, your gender, what you look like, all right, you have no control over. You have absolutely no control over. You didn't choose your parents. You didn't choose your family. You didn't choose what color you are when you came into this world. So you're always going to be able to use race as a scapegoat. Always. It's always going to be something that when you are a full of shit person, bullshit person, lazy person, okay, when you don't want to do something because you're just lazy and you don't want to do it, now you're going to always be able to use the fact that you are X gender, X skin color, and say, well, so-and-so people don't do that. So is, and you guys, I'm filling in, you can fill in the blanks for whatever stereotype you want to use in what I'm saying, but you get what I'm saying. So-and-so type people don't do that. So-and-so type people don't run marathons. So-and-so type people don't go on hikes. So-and-so type people don't, we don't listen to country music. But what you're really saying is you don't have enough, you're not open-minded enough to listen to some other perspectives, learn something, and get better, because doing that, there's some difficulties in that. Doing that is actually going to require some uncomfortable conversations. Doing that is going to require some growth on your part. Doing these things, again, him, instead of going and talking to Shannon Sharpe, him going and talking directly to this lady and her husband and the community and saying, hey, look, I don't want no problems. I want to, this is our neighborhood. Him doing that is going to require some growth. That's what's going to require. It's not going to be, or him even going, I think it got mentioned, if I'm not mistaken, it did get mentioned that Brandon Tatum had invited DeMichael on his show. And obviously, for whatever reason, he's not on the show. I don't know what the reason is, but doing that where you're getting pressed with questions, the same thing that we saw going on with this election, same exact thing. The minute Kamala Harris was pressed with hard questions that she couldn't dance around, what happened? She folded. And that's why she's not in office. Had nothing to do with her skin color. But you had media folks trying to make it about that, trying to turn it into an identity politics game, trying to make everything about identity politics because it's something that you just simply can't control. You can't control it. it's always going to be a scapegoat. So whenever people bring up, and this, the way you respond to this, and I'll get to point number 5 in a second. The way you respond to this is you simply recognize this in people. You recognize it in people. And this needs to be the thing that you do to move on. When they show you, it's like Beyonce said, you showed your ass and I saw the real you. You listen to Beyonce, you go to best thing I've never had to. You showed your ass and I saw the real you. So the minute folks show they ass to you, you move on. You move on because it's something that's inside. It's a mental factor. I heard actually I remember reading a Toni Morrison book, The Bluest Eye. I think it was The Bluest Eye. I was listening. I used to read some of Toni Morrison's work and Maya Angelou. And one of the things I remember saying that there's something inherently wrong with a prejudiced person. There's something inherently wrong with a racist person. There's something that's inherently wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you if they're looking at you and telling you that because of your skin color, I'm going to make certain judgments about you. There's nothing necessarily wrong with you as the person that's being judged. There's something inherently wrong with an individual who looks at a person's skin color and then makes whatever assumptions and judgments that they're going to make. You just got to accept that as a person that's being judged. You just simply have to accept that there's something inherently wrong with that person and there's nothing you can do about it. You got to keep moving, because if you spend too much energy, and what I've had to learn in my own life, if you spend any energy, if you give any energy at all to folks who are actually racist, then ultimately you start your stuff to get sucked out. You start suck like the positive stuff you got up inside you. They start taking some of your energy away when that energy needs to be applied to folks who really don't care. They only care about merit. They only care about if you're good enough to do what it is you say you're going to do or not. That should be that should be where you give your energy. Don't give your energy to folks that, again, like show their ass and show how they think. Move on to folks that are actually going to put a positive spin and going to put you in a situation in which you're going to be better off later on in life. All right. So that's number 4. It's always going to be a scapegoat. And finally, easy one. There's just good money. You know, folks, listen to me. And this was sort of this was it. It's funny, but it's not funny, because this situation that we're talking about, I was listening to what's the guy's name? The guy that was the African guy from Soul Plane. I think it's Godfrey or something like that. He did you know, he's an incredibly talented comedian, and I saw the clip he did reacting to this, and I laughed. I ain't be 100% honest with you. I laughed because he's so talented. He's so talented as a comedian. He was talking about, white women crying. I'm thinking of Soul Plane, him and the African guy and stuff like that. And when I say there's good money in race hustling, I mean there's good money in it, because the people who are race hustling, the majority of race hustlers out there, they are really, really good. Really good. They can come at you from a humorous standpoint. They can come at you on a guilt trip standpoint. They can come at you on the intellectual, like the college professor standpoint. You get like a Michael Eric Dyson that'll hit you with all sorts of vocabulary words, or like a Godfrey that'll hit you with the comedian side of it, or like or even if you want to put in some of these ladies, this is why I don't watch The View. If you want to put these ladies on The View, where they're gonna come at you from like a moral compass and make you feel like, every person in the world is racist. And like, they're really good at, using words and using things that make sense. The same way, again, if you can recall, go back to, again, go watch this for yourself, but go listen and go watch the way Shannon Sharp and Ocho embrace this guy and make him feel like, you see how they warmed up to him and said, oh yeah, the Buckeyes this, and they made him, they're really, really good at what they do. And if you're good at what you do, there's going to be money attached to it. It just so happens that they're using the race hustling to take your money with your donations and putting donations. They're putting money in your pocket, or not. Yeah. They're taking money from you. Excuse me. They're taking money from you in in the form of donations, in the form of, you know, ticket sales, in the form of you going and laughing and buying their merch and doing all this and being their subscribers, all sorts of ways in which they're taking money out of your pocket, and you're not realizing it's happening because they're so damn good. They have such a big platform, and they're so smart in terms of how they word certain things to make you feel like, damn, maybe I am a victim. I'm living in the greatest country in the world. I am free. I am free to be whoever it is I want to have access to all sorts of things to where I can be whatever it is I want. But because of my skin color, maybe I am a victim. They will have you believe in it because they're that good with words. This is why, again, the final thing I'm gonna close you guys out with this. The final thing that you have to do, number one, first of all, and this is what I tell people all the time. I even wrote about it in my book. Parenting, folks. Parenting. One of the reason I had to actually speak on this story specifically, because again, it's a fitness guy that sees as a person. Again, I grew up, my mother is the one who got me into fitness. My mother is the one. I resonated with this lady because it used to be me and my mother taking runs together in the dark, folks. It used to be, I wrote about it in this book. Let me show you. I wrote about it in this book, Make Your Move. I have it right here. I'll read it to you because every opportunity I get a chance to read it to, I talk about it. It is, where is it? Addicted to Cardio, chapter 1, Addicted to Cardio. Yep. First paragraph. It was around 5 a.m. one summer morning in my hometown of Silver Spring, Maryland. Some out-of-state relatives had spent the night. I had 2 twin beds in my room, so my room was crowded with people. My mother opened the door, woke me and only me up, and said, "Let's go for a run." Have it written right here. We used to do that regularly. 5 a.m. It's dark. Me and my mother are running the same way that this lady was running with her kids. So the story hit home on a different way, in a different fashion, because I hate to see that she's losing business over this. I hate to see that, you know, someone like her is trying to be productive, doing something. And let's just say she didn't know. You know, let's just say she's let's play their game, right, and call her a racist. This should not be a national story. This should be a situation. If you're really scared, if you're really worried, if you're really concerned with your well-being, as this guy claims to be, you simply knock on her door. You do a live conversation with her. You know, get it all out on the table, get it all aired out, and it's done. This is not a national story. This is something that could be handled within your own community and within your own neighborhood. There's no reason for myself, who lives in West Palm Beach, Florida, you know, thousands of miles away from Ohio, there's no reason that I should be knowing about this story. It's something that needed to be handled internally, so we don't continue to run in the victim Olympics. And we see 2 people who are doing something productive, like running a fitness company that's there to help you get better and healthier. Now they're being canceled because of somebody who doesn't have the understanding of, but doesn't give a shit. You know, fuck it. I'll say it. Doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give a shit. I don't care how it affects your business. I got mine. I got my clout. I got my appearance on the Club Shay Shay show, and I'm gonna get my business because I have a platform now, because I could talk to people in a way. I talk to people in a way in which is going to continue to make me look like I'm a victim, and people are going to pay for that. That's really what's going on. So again, I'll be reaching out to her. Hopefully she reaches out. I'm sure there's things I said on this that she's probably not going to be able to repost or anything like that, but I'll definitely reach out to her. And I strongly recommend, I believe the name of the company is The Ladies. That's actually, you know what, let me let that play. Let me let that play, because I think she did mention it. I want to have it play where she's at least talking about her business, because I strongly recommend you guys go support it. It's sad that this family's having to go through this, and I hate, again, for me personally, this one hits a personal chord with me, because my mother is who got me into running. We would run in the dark when I was growing up. I didn't realize as a kid the danger she was putting her life in when she was doing it. But when I see people doing that for their kids and they're being canceled because of some race hustling nonsense, I'm empathetic towards that situation. And I just think that the situation should not be a viral story. I think these two should be living their lives, raising their family the same way that Michael and them should be just living their life and, doing productive things. So I'll let that play and then I'll close you guys out. I want to give the platform to where she talks about her business.
Training business, is that what it is?
No.
Yeah, we're juggling a lot. Yeah. So I mean,
you're entrepreneurs, huh?
Yes, we have the cookie shop. It's called Crave Cookies. It's in the very neighborhood that we live in.
My business is the Ladies Edge, and just a shout out to them because I know they're watching you. You have gained an army of my girls.
Yes. Shout out to Brandon Tatum.
We've been operating for 7 years. The Lord has been so divine in His plan for it. My logo even means defense. I mean, we cling to 1 Peter 3:15. Always be prepared to give a reason for the hope that you have. And
amen.
My girls have been my rock. Like they keep telling me, like, no matter what happens, wherever you go, we're going with you. And it is just, the Ladies Edge is such a phenomenal group of people. So I hope you feel some extra love from them, Brandon.
Yeah. I hope so. So we're gonna put the links. We'll put the links in the description section so people can go and support and go and sign up, get a boot camp or something. I don't know. They get their protein shakes or whatever they got. And then if they're local, they can come by and show some love to the cookie shop, man, because we want to support you guys. I want to support you. I want everybody that's watching this to show support, because good people like you guys will fall by the wayside through these ignorant devils that want to make everything about race. But instead, we have to uplift people like you guys, God-fearing family, a good couple that's just trying to do the right thing. So is there...
Period. I mean, mic drop there again. Go back and listen to everything. I went from the beginning to the end, and you're listening to someone who is racially profiled on the regular, constantly racially profiled, really racially profiled. And this situation that has gone viral, it should not be a national story. It just doesn't add up. The math ain't mathing. It's too easy for him to go knock on the lady's door, issue an apology, you guys talk it out internally, and or if you're going to go viral, if you're going to go have a live conversation, to me, I don't see why the two of them couldn't do a live conversation like the way Brandon Tatum and her are doing live. If she's willing to be on Brandon Tatum's show, she's willing to do a conversation with you live and get everything out. So all that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, it's makeyourmove.com. It's MakeYaMove.com. One-stop shop for all your teamwork and your self-development needs. Also tap into the Patreon link, patreon.com/as144. And what I do these lives every single day, Monday through Friday. So I'll be back here tomorrow on Wintrepreneur Wednesday. We'll be breaking down some of the Wintrepreneur features. And if you don't know what the word Wintrepreneur means, I'll be explaining that to you tomorrow. So tap in with me then. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.